We're always told that data is the new oil, right? That it's the secret to unlocking some kind of business genius. But let's be real for a second. For most businesses, it doesn't feel like oil. It feels like a flood. We are just drowning in dashboards, swimming in metrics, but completely starving for any actual wisdom. So today, we're going to look at a system that's built on a pretty radical idea. What if the answer isn't more data, but actually less noise? Let's dive in. No, seriously, think about it. How much time do you really spend just staring at dashboards? How many hours have you and your team lost just looking at a screen packed with charts, trying to find the real story in there somewhere? You're hunting for that so what moment, but all you get are more and more disconnected numbers. It's a frustration that pretty much everyone feels. And honestly, it's an incredibly expensive one. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's the fundamental flaw in the whole system. See, this isn't about you. It's not a user error. You're not bad at your job. The real issue is that most of these analytics tools are basically designed to just dump a pile of raw information on your doorstep. Then they walk away, leaving you to do all the heavy lifting, all the actual work of figuring out what any of it means. Okay, so let's try to put a name to this feeling, right? We're going to break down what this whole drowning in data thing actually looks like in the real world. Think of these as the telltale signs, the symptoms of what you might call dashboard hell. So, do any of these sound familiar? I bet they do. Your teams are just overwhelmed. A number goes up, but nobody knows if that's good or bad or why it even matters. As a founder or a leader, you definitely don't have 8 hours a day to become a data scientist. And, this is my favorite one. You have the marketing and sales teams looking at the exact same chart, and they walk away with two completely opposite takeaways. It is a perfect recipe for chaos. All right, so we've pretty clearly laid out the problem. But what if the fix wasn't just a slightly fancier dashboard? What if the cure meant we had to adopt a totally different philosophy about data itself? That's what we're going to get into next, a full-on report revolution. And there it is. This is the big, bold, radical idea behind the Growain system. The argument is simple. Dashboards themselves are the problem. By their very nature, they are just engines of noise that demand you constantly interpret them. So instead of trying to patch the problem, this philosophy says, let's just get rid of the source. This comparison just lays it all out so clearly. Think of a dashboard like one of those frantic stock tickers constantly streaming across your screen. It's just pure, raw, chaotic data. A report, on the other hand, well, that's like getting a weekly briefing from your most trusted advisor. One is just noise, the other is a finished, decision-ready insight. And this table really breaks it down even further. With the old way, it's self-serve, which really means you're the one doing all the work. Here, it's a managed service. It's done for you. You stop getting raw metrics and you start getting interpreted insights. The entire experience just transforms from this state of constant noise into these amazing moments of periodic clarity. And maybe the biggest shift of all? The focus moved away from the tool and onto the outcome that you actually care about. So this is the guiding principle behind everything. For an insight to actually be valuable, it has to pass 3 tests. First, is it complete? So you're not just looking at a misleading piece of the puzzle. Second, is it contextual? So you actually understand the why behind the numbers. And finally, is it trusted? Meaning it's been checked and you know it's accurate. If it fails even one of those, it's not an insight, it's just a number. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you create these perfect reports at scale without needing a whole army of analysts? Well, the answer is in the pretty unique engine that powers this whole thing. And here is the official definition. Every single word here is important. Managed AI tells you this isn't another do-it-yourself tool you've got to learn. Human reviewed, that's the absolute key to making it trustworthy. And decision-ready insights, that's the final product. All delivered through reports, not dashboards. That one sentence, that's the whole philosophy right there. This, right here, this is the secret sauce. You let the AI do what it does best, which is superhuman stuff like pattern recognition, sifting through mountains of data, even drafting an initial story. But then, and this is the most critical part, you bring in human experts to make sure that story is accurate, that it's strategically sound, and that it's actually relevant to your business. It's the perfect team-up, machine scale and human wisdom. So the process itself is actually pretty simple. The data comes in from all your different sources, the AI takes the first crack at it, then the human experts review it, they refine it, they polish it, until it passes that three-part test we just talked about. Only then, once it's complete, contextual, and trusted, does the final report get delivered to you. No messy drafts, no raw data, just the finished product. Okay, so we've gone through the problem, the philosophy, and the process. But now we're at the most important part. What does this actually mean for you? What's the real outcome for your business? This is where it all pays off. Every single one of those frustrations we talked about at the beginning gets an answer. Instead of leaders wasting hours analyzing data, they get summaries that are ready for a decision. Instead of random numbers with no context, you get the story behind them. And instead of your teams arguing, everyone finally aligns around one single source of truth. And the result of all that? It's simple. You just make better, faster, and way more confident decisions. And, it's a flexible system. You get these really deep dive monthly reports that are perfect for big picture strategy, for board meetings. But then you also get these lighter weekly reports that help you stay on top of the short term, tactical stuff, all without creating that constant noise you get from dashboards. It's the right insight delivered at the right time. Let's just pause on this for a second because it is a really fundamental shift in mindset. Most analytics companies, they sell you a tool, right? A piece of software you have to learn and manage and operate. This is different. This is a managed service that is laser-focused on delivering the one thing you wanted from data in the first place: clarity. So as we start to wrap this up, everything we've talked about really boils down to this one simple, powerful promise. The whole goal of a real intelligence system isn't to make you work harder. It's to give you clarity without all the chaos. Now, this is a really interesting final point. By intentionally hiding the messy drafts and the raw live data from you, the system actually prevents confusion and bad interpretations. It forces this discipline where you only ever see the final vetted insight. Now, I know that might sound a little weird in a world that's obsessed with having access to everything all the time, but over time, it's this controlled visibility that actually builds deep, unshakable trust. And that really is the question that this whole idea leaves us with, isn't it? It challenges this core belief that what we need is more data, more tools, more access. But maybe, just maybe, what we really need is less noise and more finished intelligence. So are you ready to stop interpreting and start deciding?